Hello foodie friends, we're going to kind of go back to our roots, so to speak, on this channel after the insanity that was October. So I decided that we're going to kind of go into a little bit of a direction that we've hit before, but that we really enjoyed looking into with some of the more historical religious groups that have been in this country from time to time. And so I thought, because this is November, that we would start with a people who are known for their gratitude and their thankfulness for every moment of life that they've been given. So let's go ahead, look into their recipes, look a little bit into their history, and see how it tastes.
Pause here to write down what you'll need to follow along. Let's start our cake by creaming our butter and our maple flavoring together. And when that's done, go ahead and add your brown sugar a little at a time and continue beating until it's light and fluffy. Now let's see who these Shakers actually were. They began as an offshoot of the Quakers in 1747. They were given the name Shakers because of their dancing, shouting, and shaking that would occur during their worship service. Now you're ready to add your eggs one at a time, allowing each egg to incorporate fully before adding the next one. Now you're going to sift together your flour, salt, baking soda, cinnamon, and nutmeg. And yes, I kind of did this rather the hard way. And consequently, a couple of days after taping this episode, I went out and bought myself a flour sifter. And now after your flour and spices are like powdery snow, go ahead and start adding it a little bit at a time to your mixer. However, don't add all your flour all at once. You're going to alternate with the applesauce until both ingredients are completely gone. Now go ahead and take your raisins, sprinkle them with a little bit of flour, and mix well. This is just to prevent the raisins from all settling down to the bottom of your cake while baking. You're also going to coarsely chop whatever nut you decide to use. Now we'll go ahead and mix the nuts and the raisins into your batter. And now I chose to use a loaf pan, a 9x5, or you can use a 9x9 square baking pan. Go ahead and spray or butter it, and then coat it with flour. And now, as I am rather violent in how I flour my baking pans, I'll go ahead and skip the process and show you the end result. Go ahead and pour in all your batter, and you're going to put it in a 350-degree oven for about 1 hour. And I ended up covering mine with tin foil about halfway through baking just to keep the top from burning. And now we come to the interesting part. Once the water for your frosting is boiling, go ahead and add your sugar, but do not stir. Leave that on the stove for about 5 minutes. While that's going on, go ahead and add your egg whites and cream of tartar to a bowl. And you're going to whip those until you get soft peaks. Now, as this takes a while, you may need to give it a rest to go check on your sugar. You want to make sure that your sugar reaches the thread stage. And all that means is that when poured into a bowl of cold water, the sugar will become these little threads that will sink to the bottom. And now you're going to gently pour a little at a time the sugar into the egg whites. But make sure that you're using your egg beaters the whole time. It actually helps if you have a second person that's able to pour the sugar in there for you. And you're going to continue to beat these eggs until the mixture is cooled down. You'll start to notice that the icing becomes very shiny and smooth. Once you have the sugar incorporated, go ahead and add your vanilla, beating the entire time. And now you can see you'll end up with a beautiful icing that is shiny, smooth, and delicious. Go ahead and take your cake out of the oven, plate up, and let it cool down. The Shakers lived a true minimalist, simplistic lifestyle. As for their food, they were the first ones to have a successful canning industry in the U.S. Their high-quality canned goods was sold throughout the United States and was also highly sought after. A shaker label on a product was a sure sign that the item had been made with care and diligence.
Okay, so after, over an hour of baking,
Yeah.
we finally get to eat this cake. As you can see, Mitch, there is actually cake under this.
It's not just a mound of icing.
Yeah, Mitch kind of added a little bit more to his, which, I mean, I'm thinking about it myself, so let's just go ahead. Well, you know what? Nope, we're just going to go ahead and taste it first, because we've been waiting long enough. Let me get one with the most icing.
I don't think I have a one with the most. It's all icing.
Okay.
Like, I think the cake is a really good balance because it's not super sweet.
No.
The icing is very sweet.
Yeah.
I'd say the icing is probably more sweet than most.
Oh my gosh,
You know
yes.
what I mean? But the cake is pretty savory, and it's got a lot of, like, you can definitely taste, like, some of the pumpkin spice and some of the, like,
Yeah, I mean,
more savory flavors, but it's not, like, the cake by itself isn't super sweet.
no, I was actually a little worried because you're not supposed to do this because of raw egg, but I'm a chronic raw dough eater. So with cookies, cakes, and stuff like that, like, you know, I'll go ahead and try some and see how it does. And I did with this, and I was like, ooh, because I'm not really a fan of pumpkin pie. I mean, you could say that I hate it. You know, I'm more of a coconut cream kind of person. You know, I really want that extra, you know, punch of sugar. And the raw dough tasted like a pumpkin pie without the pumpkin. And I was like, oh, I'm going to hate this because, you know, me and pumpkin pie. But the baked product, I will say the baked product is better than the dough. Which is weird because, you know, a lot of people actually prefers the raw dough.
Yeah.
Over especially with cookies and stuff like that. But this is one where I would definitely just skip the whole like raw dough tasting and go right for the baked product. Like you're supposed to do for food safety anyway. But I mean, you know, I'm a child of the 80s. We just kind of like, you know, ate whatever raw cookie dough we wanted. So, yeah, so I'm actually really surprised because I was like, with no granulated sugar, with nothing, this is going to taste bad. This is an excellent, what I would think of as like a coffee or tea cake.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, honestly, even if you didn't have the icing, it would be a good, like, coffee kind of like...
Oh, definitely.
Like,
yeah.
You know, compliment kind of thing.
But
with the icing, it's, like, good for anything.
Well, let's talk about the icing. Because... Okay, by far, the one part, I have never made a boiled icing before, ever. So I was worried about it. And it's really involved.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I mean, it took a long kind of like, I mean, you know, your cream cheese frostings, you can just kind of throw that together and be like, woohoo, I'm done.
Buttercream.
Yeah, this takes some time and it takes effort because you have to watch it. You have to have your, you know, bowl ready, you know, of
kind
cold
of
water.
Almost a meringue base.
Yeah, it's just really involved. However, and I was prepared to say that this icing is not worth the effort. So I would just go ahead and skip that icing and just get the heavy cream icing instead. However, I tasted it again. I tasted it before. And it was like, it's okay. Then you add the vanilla. Oh my gosh, you have a liquid marshmallow. I mean, this is a marshmallow.
Yeah, it tastes exactly like marshmallow.
Yeah, if we could just somehow figure out how to bake this. You know, I've never made a marshmallow before, so I don't know. But I'm sure this is the base of every marshmallow in the country. Yeah, you add this cake with some melted marshmallow on top. Wow. Does it all of a sudden just like punch the flavor out? We have a bowl over here like of some leftover icing, and yeah, I'm gonna be spreading it all over the rest of this cake. I mean, it's that good.
It is very good.
So I'm gonna go, I'm actually gonna go ahead and give this, I'm gonna give it a 4 because I think we've probably had like a 5-star dessert.
Yeah.
That we would probably...
And the only thing I would say, like, that really kind of knocks it down a little bit is just the fact that it is so involved.
That's true. It's very time consuming.
I mean, it's good. It's very good. I think it's very worth the time you're going to put into it.
Yeah, it is.
But it's not something you're going to do if you don't have the time.
Yeah, you're not going to come home from work and be like, hey, I want to make a hour and, 30-minute cake. I mean, nobody wants to do that. So this is something you would do on the weekends, or you have a day off, or, that kind of thing.
Works.
Yeah, if you're a stay-at-home mom and you want to, like, make an extra special cake and show your kids what liquid marshmallows can taste like on top of a really cool cake, I mean, I'd go for it, because what kid doesn't like a melted marshmallow? So, yeah, that would be great. But in terms of just, like, time, yeah, it's,
It's a little involved.
Yeah, so this one I'm going to keep it at a 4. However, it's a very, like...
Worth it for.
Yeah, it's a worth it for. You're going to want to do it. In terms of this book, I'm also going to... Now, this is a little bit hard for me to kind of judge because I really like this cookbook, but I only paid $3 for it in a used bookstore. So for me, it's a 5-star book because I only paid $3 for it. I don't know. I probably should have looked on Amazon to see like what the going rate was on Amazon before. If you're really into food history and that's kind of like you really like niche groups in America, this cookbook's going to be worth it to you. Mm-hmm. Just know that a lot of the recipes in here are time consuming just because of the time period that they're pulled from.
Right.
So if you don't have a lot of time, this cookbook might not be worth it for you.
Right.
However, if you've got some time to kill in the kitchen, then this is going to be an interesting cookbook for you.
Interesting, got good food.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to rate this. I think I'm also going to keep this at a 4.
Yeah.
It's worth it if you can pick it up at a used bookstore, just knowing that you'll have to carve out some time to do each recipe.
Yeah.
And so if you go into it knowing that, then it's going to be a good cookbook for you to pick up. And as far as this, I mean, I would.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, can you beat a melted marshmallow? I mean, that's really hard. But, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to go and probably, not going to lie, clean out this bowl of extra marshmallow fluff. But stay tuned next week because I actually have a second shaker cookbook, which is actually older than this one. And we're going to take a look at that one and see the similarities between the two. So next time we'll be sticking with our shaker theme. And then we'll move on into some other little groups in America that also have some really good food from the heartland.
Okay.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you next week and hope you try this cake. You'll really like it. Bye.
If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for future videos. In the meantime, here are 2 videos you may enjoy. Thanks for watching.